Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we are here talking about the ceasefire deal and how it's only ceasefire in words. We start off here with The Guardian. If I can get my mouse to work. From The Guardian, what issues are still to be resolved in the Gaza ceasefire deal? Some questions that must be answered if Trump and his approach is to avoid repeating the failure of the Oslo Accords. Well, you need to de-radicalize Israel. But in the U.S., we need to de-radicalize the Republican Party. Will Israel withdraw its troops? So far, Israel's pulled back from Gaza's major cities to a yellow line. That means it occupies still about 53% of the territory. In theory, withdrawals will follow in two further stages. First, with an international stabilization force when it is mobilized, and second, to a lasting security buffer zone. No, what you need to do is break down these walls and live together peacefully. But we know Israelis don't want to do that. The great majority of them in Israel shout, no, this should be our home, our home, our home. I don't care. You have to live together peacefully with people. When you start being so egotistical and thinking that you deserve it all, then you deserve none. But Netanyahu's language in recent days has a different emphasis. The IDF remains deep inside Gaza territory and controls all of its dominating points. We are encircling Hamas from all directions. Without real carrots and sticks for Netanyahu, the recent precedents for further withdrawal are not promising. And Israel has occupied new territory in Syria indefinitely. So remember, not just Gaza, it's attacking its other neighbors to steal territory. I don't care what imaginary fairy god bullshit tells you all these years ago. Fuck you. We had designed borders and you're being an aggressor. And it's complete and utter bullshit. Yeah, it is an occupied new territory in Syria indefinitely. Still hitting southern Lebanon a couple days ago, despite the ceasefire there. If we test the prospect of withdrawal here and how the country has abided by other agreements, what we see is that is unlikely to happen. Will Hamas disarm? Disarmament is a central tenet of the Trump plan. But on Saturday, a senior Hamas official told Agent France Press that disarmament was out of the question, adding, the demand that we hand over our weapons is not up for negotiation. Even as the hostages were released on Monday, there were images of armed fighters in parts of Gaza, an apparent attempt by Hamas to reassert its authority. None of that is surprising. Hamas has stayed in power for so long because it has a virtual monopoly on the use of violence, and the history of its rule suggests that when the group has arms, it will seek to develop its military infrastructure. Even if Hamas agreed in theory, no detail has been provided on how permanent could happen in practice. One model, cantonment, would move fighters to designated disarmament sites so they would surrender their weapons. But there are obvious questions about that approach, too. Hamas's leaders and fighters now know they are regarded by the likely players. Would they agree to their weapons being placed under Egyptian control? Would they trust an international force? They are self-aware enough to know that once they give their weapons up, they are unlikely to ever see them again. Honestly, I think an international force, and I'm talking a force that has other players from the Middle East region. Nations like Iran. Nations like Saudi Arabia. Because, honestly, that's the only way I can see it. You can't just have a international force that's made up of Western powers and allies. You've got to reach out to all the players in the region if you want something serious, an actual impactful change to happen. Otherwise, we're looking at bullshit. That's all we're fucking looking at. How will the International Stabilization Force operate? Text of the White House plan says the U.S. will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force to immediately deploy in Gaza. It says such a force would be the long-term internal security solution. In theory, it should give Israel the assurance that it can remove its forces without allowing Hamas to rebuild. While Arab and Muslim states appear to be likely to form the majority of any such force, many crucial details are yet to be worked out. Whether it would have a mandate from the UN, what price contributing nations could ask, or would ask, and exactly what it would be mandated to do. No one expects that the force would fight Hamas, a Western diplomat said. They argued that the mere presence of the force would make it harder for either side to resume the conflict, even if it did absolutely nothing. Yeah. I mean, if you have an international force in the nation forcing peaceful coexistence, then yeah, that's what you want. That's how it should be. There are reasons for skepticism about whether the International Stabilization Force could reliably prevent either side from acting, as illustrated by a recent grenade attack by an Israeli drone near UN peacekeepers in Lebanon. There may be wider lessons from that deployment. Yeah, Israel's going to have to be disarmed. They don't have to be fully, but yeah, when you are committing all the violations you have them committing, they need a level of disarmament. In southern Lebanon, they have been pretty toothless. You would see the UN forces on their bases and then drive to a nearby village controlled by Hezbollah and ask for your paperwork by someone on a motorbike. Will reconstruction get underway? The White House plan promises to rebuild and re-energize Gaza, drawing up many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas. With a vital detail again absent, a rapid Marshall Plan for Gaza looks unlikely. Given any kind of peace, Palestinians will quickly be clearing roads and trying to rebuild. I mean, they're just trying to live their lives. But Israel don't care. But the scale of damage is immense, and Israel may constantly ask what guarantees it has that nothing will be inverted to military use and put onerous conditions on the process. Maybe if you try to live in fucking peace and quit being assholes, quit controlling their lives on every little thing they do, they control what they, where they can go, how they go there. Israel's such a shit. After the 2014 war, reconstruction moved at a glacial pace. There were warehouses where people with the right piece of paper could buy building materials. But even that kind of monitored process, there was a black market for material right outside the warehouse. There were places people would go to buy recycled concrete or rebar that had been sewed on. So we could see an unworkable system of monitoring and ordinary people not able to get the stuff they need. Will there be a transition to Palestinian-led governance? I highly fucking doubt it. God, I highly fucking doubt it. I would love to see, Palestinians treated as equals. But Israel don't care about that. They're hate mongers, jackasses, fuckheads. The White House plan was devised with no meaningful input from Palestinian civil society on the ground in Gaza. Surprise, surprise. The transitional government will involve the former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, but as yet no credible Palestinian figure. Netanyahu appears unwilling to accept the eventual role for the Palestinian Authority floated by the U.S. That's because they want Palestinians divided so they can be easily conquered. If you've got the Palestinian Authority leading both Gaza and the West Bank, then they would work, Israel fears, they would work together. But the Palestinian Authority is the peaceful one you want. You put Hamas in charge, some 20-some years ago? Yeah, go fuck yourself, Israel. That body and its leader, Mahmoud Abbas, are deeply unpopular in Gaza. There is no Palestinian ownership of this process. It is not a grand peace deal with a vision of a state at the end. There have been suggestions, at least some architects of the plan, such as the British National Security Power Jonathan Powell, accept that former Hamas members will have a role in Gaza's future. But Israel appears intent on throttling that prospect, raising fears of something like the disaster of de-Baathification after the invasion of Iraq. But yeah. It really is shameful what Israel has fucking done. AP. Israel's. Did you stop that bullshit? Israel said has received the remains of 4 more deceased hostages as cuts to the aid to Gaza loom. God damn it. See, Israel shouldn't be in charge of any of this shit. And we know there's constant bickering from global news. Israel accuses Hamas of violating ceasefire, will reduce the aid to Gaza. Meanwhile, updates: Israel kills at least 9 Palestinians in Gaza despite the ceasefire. And that's even further confirmed in another article here. Common Dreams. You cease, I fire. Israel kills at least 9 in Gaza, says it will break truce aid terms. So yeah, fuck Israel. They are the aggressor. Should Hamas have attacked on October 7th, 2023? No. But Israel's response far outweighed Hamas's actions. I mean, this was clear in the first few days. But here we are, genocide later. Fuck Israel. You know, you need to try to live in peace. But clearly, you ain't got the fucking will to live alongside others. No, you want to be an asshole. Netanyahu's a war criminal. And yeah, needs to be tried for genocide. Hamas leaders need to be tried for crimes. And the other Israel leaders, Ben Gvir and all these other jackasses who were part of the cheering on of killing innocents. Fuck Israel. I am so fucking sick of the bullshit. I didn't say fuck Jewish people. No, it's not anti-Semitic. It's anti-Israel. Anti-fascist Nazi Israeli government. If you're going to have an Israel, live in peace with each other. No, you can't do it. You're a hate monger. Fucking shit. I don't know if this ceasefire will hold. And we know Trump wants it because he is flailing in approval back here in the States. He keeps... He's lost everybody he gained from the original Trumpists he had. And now he's down to the hardcore base, but it's slowly chipping off piece by piece as things don't get better. They just continue to get worse. And he knows he needs to do something. He's got so many scandals, so many evil acts he's committed. Yeah. But thought I'd get on here and rant for a bit about this ceasefire. But with that, we'll go ahead and end this episode here. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something they have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these links and sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.